I'm like doing this weird ass voice. Hello, and welcome to the end of the month stream. I'll fix this. I fucked up somehow in the setting up of the stream. It's not my fault. I'll fix it. Close enough. Hi, and welcome to the end of the month hangout, which I've made this joke 400 times, but at this point we should probably start calling it the start of the month hangout, considering the fact that I continuously can't put it like right before the stream, right before the actual end of the month rather, and that is quite annoying. For me, and I bet also for you. However, who cares? And we are doing the stream as intended, as God intended, at the beginning of the month. Now, for those of you who are new here, which a fair number of you might be, because for some reason I've gotten a lot of patrons like fairly recently. I know why, but I haven't made a video in like over 3 months, so I don't know why a lot of you are here. But I'm glad that you are. And the first amount of news here, wait, I'm getting off track immediately. So the way the hangout works is we just hang out for like an hour, and it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fun. It's a nice, fun time, and it'll be good. It'll be nice. There's no goals or any like things we have to do this stream. We just hang out or have a good time. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. I'll do my best. But the thing we usually do is to reflect on the month that has been and reflect on the month that's coming up. So that'll be fun. And I talk to the community, and I have a good time. It's all about fostering that parasocial reality. The parasocial reality. Can you tell I'm like medicated for ADHD for once? Hi everyone. I'm gonna first talk a little bit to chat, and then I'm gonna reflect a little bit on some news that has been happening to primarily the Patreon, but it's gonna affect a lot of people, I think, eventually. And then we'll talk about the month that's coming up, and about some news regarding my upcoming video, which I've been working on like legitimately all summer, and it's taking so much longer to make and finish because now that I am medicated, turns out it's quite difficult to stop writing a script and to be done eventually, because now I have a sense of detail, and now I never want to stop making a script. Anyway, let's talk to chat, and then we'll have a good time. MRSA. Yeah, MRSA's not that thing. If you start calling it that, it'll change back. It's true. Once I start calling it the start of the month stream, it'll like either go back or like be so much delayed that it once again becomes the end of the month. First stream, hi, welcome. Watching videos in 2018. Jesus, that's a long time ago. It's been a while since then. And I'm glad that you're still hanging out with me, because I feel like my content has changed quite a lot since 2018. Did I even make videos in 2018? Like, in English? What videos were I making in 2018? I'm gonna quickly search for my own YouTube channel to figure out. You'd think I'd know this. I don't. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, like the very first ones. That's what I call dedication. It's economic. The less media value goes up. I guess so. Ooh, new content person looks over. Ooh, that's fun. How's the census going? The census is going good. I'm actually going to do today. I figured a little early sneak preview. It's like a little sneak preview analysis. I have only had this census out for 2 days now, and I actually decided to split it up so that the ones who got the link on Patreon are answering to one survey, and then everyone who's answering the census on from the link they got from the YouTube community page, which is also the same link I'm going to reveal in my next video, and talk about it there. They're answering an identical but different census, so that I can compare and see sort of the differences between people who are more likely to be my patrons and people who are more likely to not be patrons. And I have a fair number of interesting results, some of which are quite fun, some of which are unsurprising but disappointing, and some of which are frankly horrific, for me personally and for my self-confidence. But we'll go through that actually a bit later of this stream. I'm actually quite excited to dive into it. But I will say that like this won't be a full, how do you say, the analysis we're going to do today is not going to be a full analysis. I am going to eventually do like a proper comparative analysis between like those two surveys and things of that nature. The month stream, that's correct. The Mia stream, the Hangout stream. History homework or physics homework? What should I do? History homework? What are you talking about? I mean, okay, so here's the thing. I failed physics. I failed high school physics, and high school physics was actually the one reason I dropped out of high school. So maybe you should study high school physics, because I feel, in my experience, it's a lot harder than history. You talking about getting ADHD meds, talking about mental health in some videos, helped me overcome anxieties about antidepressants I had for years. I finally got them last week. Nice. Because they work. People don't know why they work, but they do work. 2019, I think it was 2019, been enjoying your recent content. Thank you. I hope that you will enjoy what I'm calling season 3 of Mia Mulder, and that is post ADHD medication. Why is Instagram not an option? Probably because I forgot. Are you expecting many Patreon survey people to answer no when asked if they're a patron? Well, some of them do, because I did also link to that Patreon post on Twitter, and some people have answered it from there. But so it's not a perfect analysis in that sense, or a perfect census, but that's fine. Like just seeing that there is a difference between sort of like general public and the Patreon public. Even if the difference might not be as big as maybe it should be, because the fact that like anyone can access the Patreon census link if they really want to do it. But because of that, I think I can still learn a lot from the differences between them, even though the specific data points, they're not going to give me that much. And I've also talked to like a fair number of other YouTubers regarding the census, and some of them, a lot of them have been like, why? Like, what are you going to learn from this? What are you going to learn from this? Who are South Asian and Indian different options? I got all of those questions, like age, income, levels of education, sexuality, like all of those like basic census questions. I got all of those from a how do you say, like a form, like a standard survey kit, basically. So that's not my fault. That is the fault of Vlogbrothers, actually, of the Vlogbrothers Notifactoria census, because I stole a lot of it from them too, or I complemented a lot of the census from there as well. So many random questions. It's fun. I'm curious to see what you have to say. I'm legitimately very funny. That's a weird sentence. That's not what I meant. I think those questions are legitimately funny. I didn't mean to, like, I don't know, hype up my own hype. Again, can you tell I'm on medication? Okay, wonderful. I've caught up to chat, and we're only 12 minutes in. I think that's a good point for me to give you a little bit more time to have ideas in chat or whatever you want to have. And the second point, I can talk a little bit about the month that has been. So there's a few news. There's a few news here. The news is that I might be changing some things on Patreon. I have already changed some things on Patreon, but the things I've already changed have no effect on anyone, basically at all. If anything, I'm making things easier for other people. But there are some things that I haven't changed yet, depending public opinion, and because those things do have an impact, or might have an impact. Technically, they don't, but they might. So, So, here's the thing. I'm like so messed out on these fucking medications. I can't believe people have to deal with me like this. So, on Patreon, the things I have changed from the previous Patreon has been the front page, like the introductory sort of like who am I, why should you give me money page. Changed that one, updated it a little bit with some new expectations based on like how my channel has evolved since I made that Patreon, because that Patreon is like 4 years old. I haven't really changed a lot in the front page, except for like some small details. So I have decided to simply, update it so that I can more easily figure out, or so that patrons, oh jeez, I thought my alarm was going. So the patrons more easily can figure out, what to expect from becoming a patron of Mia Mulder, and what they have, and that just in the sense of like, because they used to mention that I would make one video every month. I can't do that. I can't do that anymore. That's just not feasible for me. And there are also some other things about like, there's a few self-deprecating jokes in there, and I was like, I don't make those kinds of jokes anymore, and took those out. So that's the only change, really. So it doesn't change you, it doesn't change anything for anyone, and if you're not a patron, it has no effect on you, like at all. And I think that's the only thing that's like really changed proper. The other thing that has changed on Patreon, for those of you who again are patrons or are considering to becoming a patron, is I've enabled year-long subscriptions for 10% discount. So if you want to become a patron of mine, and like for sure that you're going to be a patron for like a full year, you can do it with a slight discount, and I think that's fine. Like I don't really need to like that democracy doesn't need to be part of that, because I've noticed that a fair few people, for example, have now ended their monthly subscriptions and instead become yearly subscribers, and I think that's good for them, because like they save some money, and it doesn't really impact my bottom line that much. Like yes, it does reduce the amount I get by 10%, but there's also like long-term stability and stuff like that. That's fine. But the main thing though that I've sort of like asked on Patreon, and you don't have to be a patron of mine to have an opinion on this. You can go to my Patreon, it's a public post, and you can comment in the comment field if you have a Patreon account, even though you're not a patron. You can, have an opinion on this, so just so you know. So I'm gonna try, dear God, to keep this story short. When I started my YouTube channel back in 2018, when I first started my Patreon account, as a way for me to have like any type of income at all, the way that I figured that I would structure it was to have like one basic tier of $1, and they would get access to like scripts to my videos, and like they would get to see the posts, but they wouldn't get much else. Like for $1, that's all you get. And then for $3 and up, you start getting like actual rewards. You know what I mean? And the way that works is you, fuck, I'm getting sidetracked. The way that works is like, as you know, normal fucking Patreon. You know, at $3 you get to be in my credits. At $5 you get more streams. At $10 you get a vocal things in the credits of my videos, things like that. And that kind of worked for a while. I kind of wanted to, how do you say? I wanted to have a very low barrier of entry. I like making YouTube videos, and at the time I wasn't making it for the money. I'm still not making it for the money, but like money has become a bit more important. Because back then I was living in like a shed and like ate gruel for every meal. Like I was broke, and like Patreon was my only income, and like, but because of that I had reduced costs so much that like, oh, $1 is like, it's nice and I don't need that much more. But now I have a real job, and this is like a career now, so that has changed. Whatever, that's not important. But what is important is that the way that I have dealt with Patreon hasn't been that great. Partially that is because I've been unmedicated on ADHD, and it turns out that like now that I am medicated, I can do a lot more that I probably should do. But also, it's like I don't really give out the scripts for my videos, because those scripts are a mess, and I don't really want you to always see like the weird scribbles that I do, or like the ideas that I have that like don't work out, or things like that. Because they're not transcripts of videos. They're just like a messy script that like I edit up until the last few minutes before I hit render on the video. And this has meant that $1 patrons currently on my Patreon don't get that much of a reward. Like, you only really start getting proper rewards at $3. And so the first, like, for $1 you don't get anything. And that has been fine. Like, I've asked people on Patreon about that, and like they said that like, yep, that's fine. I'm here to support monetarily, and that's it. Like, I'm not here for rewards. I just want to support the channel, and that's great. So like that has worked, and because of that, I don't feel too guilty about the current situation, because people have been happy about it. But it has led me to consider, after the recommendation of like so many YouTubers and like YouTube business people and Patreon business people who've like talked to me about this, they all say that I'm basically leaving money on the table, because the difference between $1 and $2 and $3 is not gigantic for an individual patron. But on the scale of hundreds and hundreds of patrons to a YouTuber, it scales significantly, and it can have a significant impact in the long term. And so there's a part of me that is now asking, and I am also asking you in the audience, even if you're not a patron, because I want everyone's opinion on this before I make a decision. I'm considering removing that bottom tier. And making the new, like, basic tier to be the $3 tier, where people get to be part in the credits. And in my mind, this makes some sense, because then every tier has a reward, compared to right now, where like the first tier doesn't really have a reward. But also, there's. But also, I will also point this out, that like current patrons who are at $1, it won't change anything. Like, they can still be that, and nothing's gonna change for them. Like, I'm not kicking them off my Patreon. So for all existing current patrons, nothing would change. This would only be an impact on future patrons. So that's like a thing that I have how do you say, like, that is something that I have considered and people are taking me to do, or like telling me to do. And so I'm asking because I don't know, like I'm a socialist, and I want people to have democratic input on the things that they monetarily support, or even not monetarily support. Like I don't want to be like, give me more money. Like I don't want to do that, and I don't want to do that for two reasons. One, like I'm already doing fine. Like I don't need the extra money in that sense. It would be nice. It would make the channel more sustainable and more stable. And it would also make it so that big patrons aren't disproportionately important when it comes to like the stability of the Patreon. Because if one big patron leaves, it has a big impact. Whereas if like 5, 10, like $1 patrons leave, it really has no impact on my bottom line. And if I increase the price, basically, it would shift the significance of like the lower patrons a bit more, and I guess I would give them a bit more like attention or something. I don't know how this would work, but like what I've heard is that like my like people who work at all the places that I like have like YouTube collaborations on, like yeah, but you know. What do you think? Unlimited time offer. Because I am also considering, as an alternative to this, I'm also considering just raising it to $2 and then just having $3 as like the next tier anyway. I'm just thinking what you see. And also, I don't clearly want to do this. Like, and I will say, like, let's say that I increase, let's say, hypothetically, that every current $1 patron would increase to $3. The impact would be like $100. I guess $200. Like, and that's not no money, but it's not like an incredible amount of money. Like this is not like a significant amount. Like, and I would be totally fine without it. Just so you know. I canceled Patreon bottoms. I cancel a lot of bottoms. That makes no sense. Don't clip that. I just say shit now, which is very unfortunate. Like with these medications, like I have the filter that I have for saying shit is so much smaller. And in the meantime, I will answer some questions while you debate in the comments. And again, no decision has been made, and I might not even do it at all, because I kind of like having a low barrier of entry anyway. Weird question, but does Patreon get a smaller cut if we subscribe yearly? Like, would you get more money from $120 a year or $10 a month, or is it the same? Patreon does not get a smaller cut in the sense that, like, I don't get a smaller cut either. You pay less, essentially, for the in exchange for paying everything up front, right? Because like this is also a thing that happens when you sign up for 1 year. You have to pay all of it like at once, and if you do that, then that, you know, that instead of Patreon and me, I guess, worrying about like, oh, is this Patreon gonna stay for, like, how long is this Patreon gonna stay for? Like it like budgeting for the full economic year becomes a bit insecure. You can do it, but it becomes, it's fine. But if you pay for a whole year, it's like, no, I know I've already gotten the money, like it's not going anywhere. So taxes become easier, and like all of that kind of stuff becomes a bit like more practical for everyone. In exchange, we take a bit less money from you, and I think that that's like fair trade. Like the random questions in the census. I'm glad. I like the census. Did the census this morning when I clocked in at work. Good. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I do the census on company time. Power button Bismarck. I absolutely hate that. Go down to $2, up to $4, even better. Even numbers on top. That makes sense. I like, because like, yeah, like as I said, like $2 is also like an option. the only reason why my initial consideration was to just remove the bottom tier and have $3 be the next one is because that's the current tier for people who are in the credits. And but if I have a 2-1, then it's like, then that becomes the new bottom tier that has no reward, and then some of the benefits don't carry over. But for money, it still works. A couple of dollars under the difference. Well, you know, you have to do it for when you prepare, for when you have 12,000 patrons. I'm never gonna have 12,000 patrons. You are not. That is not gonna happen ever. More possible investments for the channel, right? I mean, that's basically sort of like where this is going. Like this is a very like long-term planning thing, in the sense of like if I in 5 more years have you know, and I still do YouTube full time, like it's a small amount of change, but like that change can like lead to reinvesting in the company that is me. I'm making a video on economics, so now every time I refer to anything, it's like the company. The company. Employee, me. CEO, me. Supreme shareholder, me. Do I have shares? I don't think I have shares. It's not very straight homework. You probably should. It's international money exchange issue. I mean, that's so fair. Like, the exchange rates are so wild too. That's also a thing that like people don't tell you about like Patreon. When COVID hit, obviously like a lot of people canceled their Patreon subscriptions, because why on earth would you give money to a YouTuber when like you lost your job? Like that makes no sense. Of course, people should cancel their Patreon subscriptions in those situations. But the exchange rate between American dollars and Swedish currency, the krona, shifted so that the krona became weaker compared to the dollar. And I get paid in American dollars, baby. I get paid in US green bucks, which meant that like even though I made fewer dollars, I got more money here because of the exchange rate, because it changed so much. It basically doubled. So thanks, Swedish economy, for not doing that great, I guess. Your country poor. Jesus. How's my injury? My back injury that I had last video, it's so over now. Like I got better. And that's the reason why that video is like kind of different from most videos that I've made. Like, you know, I'm not standing up. It's very lazy editing. Like, I had a back injury and a sponsor. I needed to have a video out because of a sponsorship deal. And sometimes you don't have a video like as a backup. I probably should have, but I don't. So now that's partially why it's taking me like some time to do it. So that my new video, so that I can make it really good to make up for it. And also, I don't have a sponsor for it, so I don't have a deadline, so I don't have to rush that video or like crank something out, even though I don't have like the time to do it if I have an injury. So that makes fun. That makes great. How do you decide on I'm gonna catch up to the chat, and then we're gonna get into the census, folks. Don't worry. Also, thank you for the super chat. I don't think I thanked you. I'm very rude on these medications, and I really hate it. How do you decide what to do videos on when you're in a slump? I don't make videos then. Like, I don't. Like, because here's the thing, right? And this differs from YouTuber to YouTuber, but I think it's definitely true when it comes to like the creator-focused YouTube channel, which is me. And is a lot of people within like the kind of bread tube space, so to say, where it's not necessarily all about the topic that can attract viewers. It's the personality. Obviously, a good topic is good, but like a lot of people will watch a video because they want to see that person do that video. And An audience specifically for those can tell more than most when the creator they're there for isn't feeling the video that they're making. So if I'm not feeling a video, like if I'm in a slump and I have writer's block or something and I just like crank something out, you notice, like people notice, and like it underperforms compared to when I'm like really into a video and like I'm really like the words are just flowing and I'm really excited in front of the screen, in front of the camera. You notice that too, and those videos always overperform. Like it's like the relationship is perfect. So sometimes when I have sponsors, you got to push through it, and you kind of got to get a video out because the sponsor is sort of like counting on you to make a video. But I don't have a sponsor for my next video. I have a sponsor like scheduled for October, but I don't have a sponsor for this video, so I can take my sweet time with it. So if I don't feel it one day, then I don't, because the work that, if you force yourself to do creative work, the work will not be good. That is a lot that's a lot simpler way to say what I said. I'm very sorry for arguing. What are the similarities between the political philosophy of Hobbes and Locke? I have known this, but I don't know it anymore. Very sorry. You should ask Abby. She probably knows. I think regularly posting short-form content on TikTok, Insta, even just particularly meaningful clips from your videos could significantly boost engagements. Probably, yes. This is something I'm actually talking to some people about right now. Not specifically TikTok or Insta, but like short on YouTube. But also TikTok and Insta. This is like it's been in the works for ages, and I need to get back into it now that I'm on the meds. The meds can like allow me to do so much more and not forget these things. But yes, you're entirely right. That kind of stuff does help boost engagement, and people like it. But right now, the thing I'm exploring the possibility of using shorts to promote a video after the video has been released, to sort of like keep it relevant in the algorithm and like, you know, make sure that like my own subscribers and also potentially others can see it. And we'll see. I kind of wish that I had, how do you say? I kind of wish that I had put that question in the survey, like how you feel about shorts, how you feel about like if I were to make shorts. Some people gave me feedback on that like unprompted, and that's great actually. But you know, it wasn't the focus. So we'll see. We will see. Sucks for access, it's support for money, and doesn't ask that much focus. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, that's a thing that's like really important to me too. I don't want to set a higher base and make it suck from a position of access. Like I really do want to make it easier to do that, which is why in the past, like I've lowered like all the prices for my tiers, for example, so that more people can be into it. This channel is not run like a for-profit business, bro. Very glad you're doing better now. As am I. I could not get out of bed for a while. Star Wars video was great. I'm glad you think so. I did like the Star Wars video, even though like it was like the reason I made the Star Wars video was like, that's also one of the things I was in a slump because of my back pain, and I was like, I don't have the energy to like research and like make a video from scratch. I'm just gonna like, I've been watching a lot of Star Wars. I'm just gonna make a video about Star Wars. Here's all my opinions on Star Wars that I just had in my brain, and I'm very happy about it. It did save me a lot of time. To make React content, absolutely not. React content, oh no, absolutely not. I'm very pro YouTube Shorts or TikToks. Wonderful. Can I make a memeable to Subway Surfers soap cutting fans clip YouTube short channel? If you want to, fuck yeah, link, but you know, link to my videos, so it's not just like stealing. But yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? I don't get the Subway Surfer thing, but I'm very happy about it. Okay, I've caught up to chat. Thank you for being with me. You can tell that I'm rambling so much. Let me quickly just check a thing. We have been streaming for 37 minutes somehow. It feels like we just got started. Sometimes I feel like I'm Mr. New Vegas from Fallout New Vegas when I say the things that I do. Okay, let's do some census analysis. How about that? Because that's the month that has been. That was that segment. The month that has been are some Patreon updates that might not actually have any impact on anything else, on anyone at all, and everyone's fine. Never gonna use TikTok. I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting though, because I use TikTok, but I don't use shorts. I never use shorts. I don't personally like shorts, and that's also why I'm like kind of skeptical. I don't like it. I'm very skeptical of using shorts. Okay. It's time for some analysis. Let's see if you can see this. Okie dokie. Can you see what is happening here? You can indeed. God, I hope I don't have any incriminating information on these things. I don't think I do. But here we go. So, this you're gonna have to keep this in mind for yourself. But basically, the one on the left here, that is the link that has gone out to our wonderful patrons and also some people on Twitter. And this one on the right, that is the census as it went out on the YouTube community page, and these have only been out for, I think, this one, the one on the left has been out for 3 days, I think, maybe 2 or 3, and this one has only been out for like 1.5. So the one here for the wider community is significantly smaller than for most, or than it probably will be, because it's only been a very short amount of time. And I will do a more proper analysis of it. So this is not like the full analysis of it. Like, don't this is not like the end all be all. And I will announce it like more properly in my next video as well, so that so the people who watch that like will also have an opportunity to, you know, answer it there. And after that, you know, after a video has gone out, I think that's gonna be the more representative results, statistically representative result. We can, if we want to, we can move these into like Google's version of Excel. But I tried that and it looks like goddamn shit. It looks, I can't read Excel spreadsheets. I'm going to hand this off to a statistician I know, and they can compile all of it into beautiful graphs for me, because I don't understand it. So let's start here. With age, for example, we can see that the age for patrons is a bit higher than it is on YouTube specifically. And this kind of makes sense, like on Patreon, or like, you know, Patreon-ish, but I'm gonna call it Patreon for simplicity. On Patreon, like a third are over 30, whereas that is not really the case for, or between 31 and 40 specifically, whereas like it's half that on the community page. Same thing with like 41 to 50, like there's a significant reduction. But what we do see on the YouTube community page is that people are significantly younger, with like a bigger audience that are between 16 and 18 and 19 to 22. Whereas here, like the patrons who are between 16 and 18 are basically not existing. And that makes sense. You know, if you want to give YouTubers money on Patreon, it helps if you have a job, and it helps if you're like, you know, making a significant amount of money. We will get to that too. There are some questions here that I'm like a little scared to show you, because the results like don't paint me in a great light, or like paint the channel or like the work that I've done. But you know what? You know what? You weird, you cretins. No, I'm kidding. I love you. I love all of you. That's why I've made this census, so that I can learn my flaws and like where there are limitations in my channel, and like what I can learn for the future. Very well. Okay. Are there any 55 plus viewers? There are some, like a small amount. Currently 7 respondents, so not a lot. But also remember, like, this is in the YouTube community page. I'm not sure a lot of like people who are 55 and older hang out in the YouTube community page, like, and responding to like YouTubers posting like not videos. When a video comes out, I think there will be some change in the demographics, which is why there's going to be like another analysis, like in 2 months or something, when like I've compiled all the results. Where people spend their time, on, you know, it's very similar. Like Twitter makes up a large percentage, Reddit makes up a large percentage, YouTube of course makes up the largest percentage, because like, you know, I'm a YouTuber. Of course people are going to spend a lot of time in YouTube. More 55 plus on Patreon. Currently 3 respondents, but there are, which is, you know, fewer respondents than on here, but 2.5% compared to 0.8%. So it's more than twice. So I do have, I don't want to say elderly. 55 plus is not elderly. Like I'm a politician. I work with retired people. Like 55 is not like old, but in the survey sort of like dump that I use, 55 plus is like the maximum like category that they had, and they have that just because the core demographic for YouTubers generally falls more between like this range anyway. Yes, YouTube makes up a significant part. There's not a lot. We don't need to talk about that much more. There's not a lot of like exciting information here too. Instagram would probably have made sense here. I forgot about Instagram, and so did the survey that I stole this from, which is very unfortunate. Instagram would probably have made up like a much bigger portion here, because Instagram is pretty popular. But I didn't. I forgot. I forgot, and I do apologize. Do you watch a lot of video essayist content other than me? A lot of people said, like almost everyone says yes, but some of the patrons are a bit more likely to be like, not really, you know, kinda, but not really, which I find really interesting. I do like. There's one respondent who's like, "Do you watch a lot of other video essayists?" And they're like, "It's just Natalie. It's only Natalie. I just watched that." Which fair. And then if you want to like read the specifics, I hope you can read this, by the way. I can't see the resolution that much more. Love to know how old the oldest Miyamoto viewers are. I do know that I have some people in their 90s actually watching. So, and like, I like it, and I don't want to like give the impression that like I'm age restricting or gatekeeping this shit. Like I want everyone to watch my videos, except for maybe like minors, because like sometimes I do have like kind of raunchy jokes and I swear, but you know, who cares? You can read. Perfect. So here, for example, like which video essays do you enjoy like specifically, and like people have added like all sorts, and like huge, gigantic lists, and very, very helpful actually. But these basically fall in line with what the YouTube analytics are telling me, because they show me like related videos, and this is not surprising, but it is still very helpful. I'm a minor. I gotta get out. You can't stay. Get out. I mean, of course you can stay. Everyone can stay. It's just like, you know, I don't want like, you know, 5-year-olds watching my videos. You know what I mean? Like, it's more like that. What kind of videos do you enjoy? This question I found quite. Let's see if I can line this a little bit more. Which videos do you enjoy? This was interesting to me because again, not super surprising. But I think still quite interesting to me. So like videos focused on trans focused videos, like pretty universally like the most like the most enjoyed type of video, I think. Media analysis is like struggling a bit, which is fair. I don't really do media analysis anyway, and like I don't like doing video analysis, so it's like you know, with my 1-year-old cousin. Oh, but that's fine. Like, they don't, 1-year-olds don't know shit. Auto-generated Spider-Man getting Elsa pregnant videos. That is true. They do make a lot of that. Anyway, we're running out of time. Good lord. We might have to go overtime on this one. History and like social issues like are like runners up, but I do like that there's a difference here between like the general public who have a slight preference for like videos focused on social issues, and patrons who have a slight favor of history focused videos. So like that's interesting. Like I find that shit's interesting. You know what I mean? This is a question that I also asked on Patreon, like how people feel about me making fewer videos compared to making fewer videos if I can make them more polished and I can make them longer, compared to if I can make videos that are, or if I should make videos that are shorter, but risk getting a bit more rushed, or if I should make shorter videos, but more frequently, like that kind of stuff. And the overwhelming amount said that like they prefer less frequent content if they are more polished, on both sides. Some of them prefer frequent videos, but only if they're not rushed, like very much like making sure that like people don't want rushed content. And the second most popular option has always been like less frequent content if they are longer. So, and that makes sense. Like people, and like I think there's a little bit of like confirmation bias here, because I think people know that that's the kind of content that I want to make. So either they know that that's the kind of content I want to make and they want to support me in that, or that is the content I'm already making, and because they like it, they want me to continue basically doing the same thing I'm already doing. And that's interesting. Do you listen to podcasts? Patrons are more likely to listen to podcasts, which I find interesting, just in general. When asked if they had heard of the podcast that I co-host, Leechfest, even though I don't really mention it on my own Patreon, the majority of patrons have heard of the podcast, but the majority of people in the YouTube community page have not. That's interesting. Like that, I think that makes sense, because people who are patrons are more likely to be more I don't want to say dedicated fans, but like they're more likely to like invest more time like investigating the person that they want to become a patron of, and then they also find the podcast and then they listen to it, or they have heard of it. And there are some thoughts on here which I haven't compiled yet. So, like, most people seem to be very happy with it, but a lot of people are also saying that they haven't really heard of it. The next question is a bit of a silly one. What is your favorite piece of Mia Mulder lore? And here I did a mistake of adding an option for other. I only know links from the Nebula homepage. Well, that's still hearing of it. That's perfectly fine. We want content that is made by someone who wants to make what they're making. I mean, yes. I mean, that makes sense. Let's see. Favorite piece of Mia Mulder lore. Here, like, there's a gigantic list, and some of them don't even have text because people have added their own options. Which makes sense. But this is a silly one. The three options that I had was Mia's incredible life story of being tall as fuck, because I am tall as fuck. The history of the plant, and the forbidden video. And some people on the YouTube community census from the community page seem to enjoy the forbidden video, which is interesting because the forbidden video does not exist. It's not a real thing. So that is quite fun. Your 8th grade English teacher told you? What the fuck? It's wild to me that other people know who I am in like the real world. But like people have, all sorts of like ideas of like lore. whatever that means for them, of course. All of these questions are voluntary, by the way, so no one had to do this or answer this. And then some people like, do you accept the plant, for example? That is real lore that I had. Do you know why the plant was important? Like, most people don't, but like 7.1% do, compared to 4.5% from the community page, which makes sense. Find that quite interesting. This is also like people could add their own options, which has helped some time. More patrons are likely to be YouTube Premium subscribers. Makes sense. Patrons are much more likely to be Nebula subscribers. Again, makes sense. No one mentioned the saxophone. Oh damn, I keep forgetting I play the sax. Dress Go Spinny. Dress Go Spinny isn't in the lore. I forgot to put that in, but it was also a jokey question, so that was quite fun. Massive video essay connoisseurs. That's quite funny. That's why I didn't get it. Yeah, that's why I didn't get it. It's not real. It's not real. It was fake. It was fake all along. The plant is important. It's a spider plant that I had in my earlier videos. You can still see it occasionally because I'll bring it out because it's still alive, weirdly enough. I didn't have like a good microphone to record my videos in. I still kind of don't, but like back then I definitely did not. I had an old like Yeti Meteor USB microphone that I got like a decade earlier. And the whole point of the plant was I could hide the microphone in the plant pot, and I could hold the plant close to my face because you needed to be like really close to the how do you say it? to the microphone for it to work. But I also didn't want to have like a big ass microphone stand. You know? I'm not a miner. Fucking miners. Do not. What am I saying? I'm like, again, I'm becoming more unhinged on this medication. I'm on a pretty high dose too. Like, do you own a piece of Miyamoto merch? Wait, there's merch? There's no merch. There's no merch. There used to be merch, but there's no longer merch. The merch disappeared. The merch disappeared when I joined Nebula, because Nebula has its own like merch management thing. And also like no one was buying the merch. I know that like a few people have bought the merch. Like some really like diehard fans bought like a shirt that I made like years ago, but like there is no merch no more, and like no one was buying it anyway. Not to the point where it would actually be like legitimate. I had a legitimate reason. Yes, I had a legitimate reason to be speaking into a plant. Yes, and I dropped it because like it makes no sense. It's stupid. I got a better microphone, so I got it. Country you're in. This used to be a bar graph, and now it's a list. So I have no idea what's going on with that. Gender. Now we're going into the fun part of the survey. What gender do you identify with? I'm a trans woman. I'm a binary trans woman. So like, what's the deal? Like, what's happening here? So I asked people, and on Patreon, like it's like almost a three-way split, like among like the three dominant ones of like male, female, non-binary, like almost a three-way split, with the majority being female, which is not what I expected, because my YouTube analytics show me basically show me that, like, you know, men typically are the overwhelming amount that watch my YouTube videos compared to like anyone else, and also like the YouTube analytics show you weird vibes, you know. But then we also have like, you know, it's almost 10% like agender people, 6% gender fluid people, a lot of people who are unsure, and then like a few people who have asked like in a crisis, trans feminine, your guess is as good as mine, a mess, trans woman. Like some people wanted to specify like the trans experience, but that is a question that came later. And I think I could have done that clearer. My dad went to Sweden. Yeah, I saw him. He's like in my apartment right now. And then like on the public one, still women being the biggest option, which is quite surprising to me, because again, the YouTube analytics show me something very different. Like they show me the ratio between of men and women being like 3 times as many men as women. So this is quite interesting. You know, still a lot large people of like agender, gender fluid, non-binary, a few genderqueer people, and then like a lot of gender fuck, AFAB, but it's fucky, whatever, possible egg, Schrodinger's transgender. Like there's a lot of fun here. Currently transitioning. I have no idea what I am. Like there's a lot of these, you know, and that's fine. You don't have to be. You don't have to know. That's why I had the other option there. Non-binary gang. YouTube analytics might misgender people. Yes, this is another reason why I wanted to do this survey, because I suspect that they do, and I specifically suspect that YouTube counts trans women as men. Also, let's ignore this one. It'll be good. Jesus. Transgender. Gigantic amount. Like half. Just plain 50% of patrons, 44% of the community page people. Like that's a gigantic amount. And like there are a lot of other options here as well, like kinda, maybe, teehee, like non-binary, like you know, people, you know, it depends on like how you count non-binary and stuff like that. I'm not a gatekeeper, like I don't give a shit. So like that's interesting, much higher than I thought it was. Yeah, like I kind of expected it a little bit on the Patreon page, but not by this much, and definitely not on the YouTube like thing, you know what I mean? It's wild stuff. Now let's get to the thing that I got really sad about, or like almost upset about. Race or ethnicity. There's also again, other options included here as well. Good lord, I have a wide audience. Like Jesus Christ in heaven. I'm not surprised, first of all. Let's talk about this quickly. I'm not surprised. I'm disappointed in myself. But like, I get that I could probably do some things different, you know what I mean? Like I could talk more about like racial equality issues. I don't talk about that like very much. Maybe I should. People are and like, you know, like this is a thing I have to work on. I don't necessarily know how, but this is a sign that I didn't really know I had to do until I did the survey. So thank God I did. That I need to reach out to like more non-white creators and be like, what the fuck do I do? You know, people who would be you know, fine with me doing that. Like I know several, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, who are friends. Like I'm not gonna have to like, you know, ring up random like black creators and be like, help me please, carry my white burden, like that shit. You know, I'm not gonna do that shit. That's stupid. So, but this is by far the biggest surprising issue of the entire survey, and yeah. So that's interesting. Sexual orientation. Everyone here is bisexual, and you are too. Literally everyone is bisexual. It is the biggest sexuality around. And like legitimately, like everyone is bisexual in my community. Everyone is bisexual. You're all bisexual. If you're not bisexual yet, you will be. If you have been bisexual but you don't identify as anymore, you are bisexual. Good lord, everyone is bisexual. Literally everyone is bisexual. I don't think the ethnicity results are following you. I mean, okay, I want to clarify a thing. I don't think that I've necessarily done anything wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that I've, like, I don't know, alienated people of color in my videos. I hope I haven't. If I have, dear God, people, I need to know. But it is, like, a sign that, like, oh, my audience is significantly wider than I thought. And that is something that I definitely should, like, you know, take with me. But, like, good lord, there's a lot of people. Omnisexual, didn't include it, and that's on me. That's another part of, like, using the, how do you say? Using the standard like survey form. And we're already over time a little bit. I just have to quickly contact. I just need to tell my lovely partner that I need to take a little bit of time because we're already running overtime for the stream, and I usually don't do that. Homosexual, like also like significantly, like a significant amount, 18%. Straights, like I'm surprised that there are more straight people like proportionally on the Patreon than it is on the YouTube community page. 20% of you are straight. Good lord. There are no straight, there are very few straight people. I mean, like, okay, 1 of 5, but it's like, that's a significant minority. And, you know, again, like, I wanted to have, like, the other option so we could have more things. Some people wanted to specify lesbian, which, sure, yeah, of course. Demisexual, fair few, aromantic, omnisexual, queer and kinky. Like, this I will have to, like, collate a mess. Kinda heterosexual. Girls pretty me likey. I wonder if I'm bisexual, but maybe it's just loneliness. Ugh. Oh god. I mean mood, I totally get it. As a bisexual myself, I get it. Like femme attracted, gray ace, gray romantic. Like there's a there's a lot of good answers here. It's good. It's great. Let's see. I am blind. I didn't know this poll was a thing. Yes. Are you blind or have difficulty seeing? Around 7%. 6 to 7%. Makes sense. Difficult hearing, around 5%. Makes sense. Do you use closed captioning on YouTube? Yes, no, sometimes. A pretty like even split. And this is something I know I have to work on for accessibility. I don't have closed captions on all my videos. And there's a few reasons for that. One is I have, until very recently, you know, like being unmedicated for ADHD and sitting through your own video and writing down every word perfectly and like making it sync up to very specific detailed times. It's like me doing that personally would drive me up the wall. Like I could not do it. I did not feel good doing it, and I felt I felt like garbage. Like I couldn't do it. Because my ADHD was like preventing me from doing it. So occasionally I have hired people to do subtitles for me, but that's kind of expensive, and I don't have the resources to do that for every single video. Don't you use a script? I do, but like that script changes so much. Between the time the script is done and the finished product is very different, because I improvise a lot during the recording, and editing changes things around a lot. So like the script gives me nothing to work with basically. And also it's messy. Maybe it's because the YouTube community leans younger. Could be, for sure. Non-binary bisexual guy. Ooh! Welcome to this community. But like this is something I know I kind of have to work on. I do want to like make the yes number go up a little bit because it's good. You get a bigger audience, and it's also nice to people who need it. You know what I mean? Sub your video for cheap. No, like because here's the thing. I also want to pay people fair. You know what I mean? This is the thing that's like really that's the thing. I could subtitle all my videos super cheap tomorrow, like no problem. But that would be like on like one of those like gig economy sites where you pay someone like garbage money in order to do it. And I don't want to do that, you know what I mean? Like I want to pay someone a reasonable wage. And if I do that, it's too expensive. So it's like I don't pay anything. But I would rather not. You know what I mean? Like I want to pay people like a good decent wage if I want them to work with me. How did you first hear of me? This is a fun one. The algorithm, not part of this list, and that's my mistake. But a lot of people have mentioned the YouTube algorithm like in the other option, and when I collate the information here, that will be reflected. my wonderful girlfriend is currently building a small miniature house, so she was like, "Don't worry about it. You don't have to finish the stream yet." Most people don't remember. That's fair. Who remembers where they first heard of me? You know what I mean? Like, that's who does that. Mentioned by other content creator, also a big mention. And I wonder who, where, when, because I don't get like a ping when someone mentions me. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I like no. I don't get a Google notification when someone mentions my name. So like I don't know who this is, or like collab with another creator. A collab with another creator like made up a significant portion, like 13% or like 10% in the other one. That is so interesting because I don't do a lot of collabs. That is quite interesting. Cringe Corner, I guess Cringe Corner, but I was on Cringe Corner. Sean did, it's true. That is true. People do mention me occasionally. I guess people do. I forget. Collab, yeah, I do. I mean, I guess I do collab. I guess I'm wrong, I guess. You're so right. Google and Reddit question for good trans creators. I do show up on Reddit quite a lot. Tom Scott's Money, some people are saying. Nebula, some people are finding me from Nebula. Algorithm. The What 3 Words video? It's fun. Friend. YouTube recommendation. Count? You will watch me and Mulder videos. No, that's, I don't know what I'm doing. One YouTube video. Again, the medication is making me go bonkers, and it's also like it's like 9 p.m. The medication is like wearing off entirely. I also think it's just blank. And other, that makes sense. And then there's a question about like, who is your favorite YouTube creator out that's not me? And it's like, because like people have mentioned like, who do you watch, but like, who is your favorite? And this is quite interesting. There's a lot of interesting different answers. Not of them that surprising. Some of them really surprising. But like, you know, a lot of these aren't surprising. Like we get Natalie Wynn, we get H Bummer Guy. Some of these I don't know who they are. For example, Philosophy 2. Yeah, like, of course, like that kind of group. Like I don't know a lot of these ones. Like there are a lot of responses here that like don't show up in oh Jesus, that don't show up in the here. I'm going Vosh, Tom Scott, Jacob Geller, Jen Nicholson, Lily Alexander, Hassan, Let Me Know, Hank Green, like Dan Olsen, Noah Caldwell Gervais. Like that makes sense. That makes sense. It's no, the funniest shit I've ever seen this to be. I mean, you can be excited for like almost 3 hours of this basically being even more methed out because I record during the day and not in the evening sometimes for the actual video recording. So like this is hard to see, so we're not gonna like dig into that more. It's interesting. It's interesting more than useful right now. How do you identify politically? This is more sort of like what labels people were kind of like putting themselves into, and you know, I'm curious. I was curious to see what people had. Leftist, like obviously I have a lot of like left wing takes here because I'm left wing. I assume my audience will be too. So like I put in a bunch of left-wing ones, but I also put in like a few others, and also of course the other option. So leftist is the most popular. Socialist, again, like also pretty big. Social Democrat made up a pretty like is the let's say communist made up the third largest, and Social Democrats the fourth. And the same thing is true of patrons. It's interesting that I have significantly more communists than Social Democrats. The fight between capital A and minimal A. I also forgot anarchism in this one, because this one I had to make myself and I forgot. I forgot about anarchism, despite my upcoming video actually mentioning like a significant amount of anarchism. So, you know, that's on me. We have a green, progressive, doomer, anarcho-communist, Marxist, classic liberal, biologist. Interesting. I don't know what that means. Anti-capitalist, libertarian socialist, mutualist. Some gave like quite long answers. Stoic Taoist. Don't know enough about politics, and like all of that, that's fair. You know what I mean? Like same thing on like on the Patreon side. Whatever it takes to put food in goddamn houses and give them food and medicine. That's fair. Thoughts on J.G. McCullough? I have no idea who that is. How many positivists? I don't know how many positivists, because currently, like, I can't, like, some of the text is like hidden. Like there's like a 2 answer here between progressive and anarchists that I can't see. So I'm curious to see, like, because like when I collate these, I'm going to sort of like try to sort these individual other answers into like bigger categories. So that's gonna be interesting. How much do you trust news media? I thought this would be interesting to see like how do people feel about that? And it turns out that patrons are both at the same time more trusting and less trusting of news media, but there's but like the reasonable amount, like the more like center options came more in the community page, and this might just be like a scale thing. You know what I mean? Like this just might just because this one has like 8 times as many responses basically. It makes sense for this one to have a bit more like center options, because that's just what happens occasionally. How much money you make? This is an interesting one. This is interesting. This is interesting for sponsor reasons mostly, but it's also interesting for, let's see if I can line these up a bit better, kind of. It's just interesting for me to sort of like see how like who are my audience and who do I kind of think my audience is, because I tend to mostly interact with patrons. They are the, like, I have streams exclusively for patrons. I have I reply to comments more often on Patreon because there are fewer of them than on YouTube, and that just means that like I have much more of like a connection with Patreon and patrons, and this is also one of the reasons why I wanted to have the survey, to sort of see sort of like where I'm like who is my audience actually. And it turns out that my patrons are rich as shit, with like 17% making over $75,000 a year, $75,000 a year, and let's see. And I actually got like a few messages by some people who are like, you need to have a higher option than 7. You need to have 100,000 plus, because some people were like some people apparently make bank out there. Patreon being an even split, right? Like this is a weird split, but this makes sense. This makes a lot of sense. It makes much sense for this lowest income tier to be much smaller than in the public one, because if you don't have any money, why are you gonna support me on Patreon? You shouldn't, like, you should only support me if you can afford it. Ooh, well, yeah. I hope you hang out on my next video. Thank you for hanging out, and yeah, I'm looking forward to making it. Dazzling the peasants with their fancy Nebula subscription. So this kind of makes sense, right? In the public one, a significant portion, 40%, make between $1,000 and $10,000 a year, and the amount. And the rich amount is significantly small. Like it's a very large difference. The amount that make like 20 to 30, not a gigantic change. 10 to 20, not a gigantic change. 30 to 50, also not a gigantic change, but like the rich and the poor are very different. That's like my so like I have a couple of rich patrons, but I have a lot more poor viewers, and that's good information for me. First job out of college with over 100k. It's a lot more common to earn over 100k. How much is 100k? $100,000 SEK, which is Swedish currency, and because I have to translate it, divided by 12 in a monthly pay. Oh Jesus Christ, that's a lot of money. That's common in America. I'm moving tomorrow. No, I'm not. I would never. I like healthcare. Highest level of education. I could have been a bit more like inclusive here as well. Like obviously not everyone's going to have a high school education, but I kind of had that as the lowest bar. That's on me. That's a very privileged take to have. But it is also I didn't make this one. I didn't make many of the questions here. I stole them from like other surveys or like a survey like forum. And they didn't do it either, but I didn't notice it when I reviewed it. So that's on me. But what we're seeing here is basically like university masters and currently student high school. Like there is a shift. Like my patrons are higher educated, viewers are not so. But I should also mention that like the level of education among people who replied in the community page is still significantly higher than the general population. So that's interesting, isn't it? It's 1 a.m. You should sleep. You have Monday school tomorrow. Yeah, for sure. You can watch this later. Gigantic. How do you say gigantic? I don't know how to say it. I don't know how it works. Higher salaries, but they get no benefits. I mean, that's what I've heard. Yeah, I get hella benefits. Gigantic. Was on Wall Street. Yeah, okay, well that's Wall Street. You know what I mean? I have a friend who's like who like works in finance and like she's gonna yeah, she makes a lot of bank too. Gigantic. I'm Swedish. I have that. Different neurodivergences. Turns out that the overwhelming amount of you have ADHD. Hello. I wonder why. It turns out that I also have it. And I didn't know until very recently. But you know, that's interesting though. There's like a lot of like people who have ADHD, a significantly larger portion than the general population, are fans of my videos. And that's very fun to me. Well, a lot of autistic people, makes sense. I have a lot of like like autistic friends, but and like you know a quarter being like neurotypical, not neurodivergent, got nothing going on. Then we got like dyscalculia, dyslexia, sensory processing disorders. Gigantic, Jazz, gigantic. Do you say gigantic? Gigantic. That doesn't sound right. Gigantic. I'm Swedish. And then like a lot of others, but you know, this is also interesting. Do you have kids? People on the YouTube community page more likely to have kids. Makes sense. Out of 121 responses on Patreon, only one said they had kids, and one said that they're expecting. So, and that's like also makes sense. You know, if you don't have kids, and you make a lot of money. You have a lot more disposable income to spend on YouTubers. But to be fair, only about a fifth of, like, because I have around 580 patrons, roughly. 560, I guess. Like, the month just changed over, so the calculation is, like, borked. And there's only 123 responses on the one here, so that's fine. They vibe with my brain crannies. I've heard this a lot, that like my energy like syncs up a lot with like ADD people and like autistic people, which I quite like. What best describes you? And this describes like the viewing habits of all you. And it makes sense that people on Patreon are way more likely to watch my videos as soon as it comes out, or eventually, like they watch every video eventually. Whereas people on the community page are, you know, still a large amount that will see every video eventually, but some of them are like, yeah, you know, I'll watch most of them. And like, like a few people will be like, you know, when I remember to check it out, or when I stumble across a video. And that makes sense. This is not new information, I think. Here are like topic ideas for like, if you could force me to make a video about anything, what would it be? You know, but again, haven't collated this. I'm gonna leave it for like a month and we'll see what the answers are like then. When did you start watching? This I find quite interesting, because there's a much larger people who in my general audience who started watching this year, whereas on Patreon that amount is significantly smaller. And there's a few people here who watched on Patreon who started watching my videos when I did vlogs in Swedish, like way back when. Whereas there's not a single person in the YouTube community page that did that, which makes sense. Seems most of my views, at least in the community, came from 2021 and 2022. So like quite somewhat recently, like 2022 and 2023, like make up a pretty significant portion of new viewers. Whereas most patrons come from 2020 and 2021. And that's quite different. And like again, kind of makes sense, because like global pandemic starts affecting people in 2021, but also 2020. So maybe that doesn't explain it. I'll come up with a good theory as to why later. The differences come down to mostly money. Yes, I mean yes, that does make sense. Here you can see, for example, like again, this one did go out to Twitter, so like only 65% of people who responded here are actually patrons. So a lot of the differences might actually be even stronger. Whereas the community is like 98% not a patron. Some of them, a lot of people are patrons of other people, which is quite interesting. Most people in my Patreon watch my videos on a computer, whereas the majority of people watch my videos on their phones. That's interesting. Would love to hear something in Swedish. Du kommer inte gilla någonting jag säger på svenska. Jag är inte bra på svenska egentligen. Jag är rätt dålig på det, men nu får du lite grann i alla fall. Elvish ass. 2019 gang! Fuck yeah. I need to calm down. And some people watch on smart TV, but like watching it on a browser on the computer is like, it's high. And if you end up becoming a patron, it's so much higher than it is as a phone. Like that is huge. And I think that boils down to the fact that, like, I guess you're more likely to, like, you know, like go to a person's comment field and, like, you know, check out their Patreon and sign up to Patreon if you're like at a computer listening to the video. Or maybe you're more likely to like be at work and like whereas if you're on a phone, maybe you're like at school, and that might also be an income thing. A primary way, like phone, computer, whereas phone makes up the majority, computer makes up the majority. This is interesting. I'm gonna share this with some people who work on like Nebula, and they're gonna help me. Oh, YouTube communities push to subscriptions on mobile, but not push on subscriptions on PC. That could also be a thing. That's pretty smart. Do you have a YouTube account? Almost everyone does, but some patrons don't. Like, there's a larger portion of patrons who don't. Most people have not uploaded a YouTube. Like, this is pretty similar. YouTube video themselves. Changes to YouTube. This is something I might actually pass on to YouTube itself at some point. Not that I know them very well or like have any connection to them, but like if I ever do, if they want this information, you know, from one channel, extremely anecdotal. Do you participate in YouTube live chat premieres and polls? Very similar, but the general community is more likely to than patrons are. And this kind of goes into my theory that patrons are more likely to just be quiet supporters, Whereas if you want to be a supporter on YouTube but not a patron, you're more likely to engage in those types of things, which is really interesting to me. This is like, and I agree. This I find this like really interesting like data collection. Let's see. Do you like when I use them specifically, and like do you participate in general? Again, like the YouTube community in general is much more likely to. Is there anything you would like to see me do differently? The vast majority of people here say no, but there are a few people who have like pretty good feedback, and I don't think I'm very quiet supporter, but that's good though. I like it when people aren't quiet. I like to talk to people now. I always have, but like now specifically. Like there are some like, you know, small feedbacks here, but the vast majority of people are saying I'm doing things fine. There is good feedback here though. I'm not going to scroll here too far because there are some things here that are just like harassment, but the vast majority of it is just fine. Something I do well, again, like it's mostly compliments. There are some good feedbacks here that I definitely can use. Like this is good feedback for me. Something I do poorly compared to other YouTubers. Didn't I not ask that? Oh, something I could do differently and something I do poorly compared. Like there's some good feedback here as well. Like my videos can be kind of slow, which makes sense. I got a lot of people who were like like my videos meander a little bit and like have a hard time getting to the point, which that is quite fair. Don't get too far ahead of yourselves. Yeah, I'm for sure. Like I'm leaving this data like to people who like are better at like doing analytics than I am. So I'm not gonna be going through this data myself. Do you enjoy me talking about my political career? Yeah, apparently. A lot of people like, because like this is anonymous. Like you can ask no, you can say no if you don't want to, and like 3 out of almost 900 people said no, and some people don't care. Like, but the vast majority say yes. So like that's good for me to know. I thought that you were kind of getting annoyed by it, but that's fun. I'm gonna make a video about it someday. So this is also like helping me out a lot. I'm gonna try to speed up because we're going so slow. If you're not a patron, what would make you be one? A lot of people here are like, either I need more money or I'm already a patron. Whereas here it's like more money, I need more money, I need more money. Makes sense. Why would you give me money if you don't have the money to do it? Like I'm not a critical expense. How do you think I come off? This is also quite interesting. And I tried to include like a fair number of like negative answers too, to sort of like, you know, to get good input, you know what I mean, like to know what I need to work on. Let's see, like reserved, optimistic, manic, a surprising amount said manic, which is quite fun. Friendly, polite, assertive. 25% people would describe me as assertive, which is I don't know about that one. Manic, optimistic, reserved, funny, arrogant, 1.2%. I get it. I have heard this before, and I don't like it. Boastful, boring. Six respondents call me boring, and a lot of people are like. There's a lot of people who added their own answers here as well, which could also like affect the final thing here. Friendly is. Yeah, friendly is like you know, it's pretty high. On 84, 94 over here. I do think that like the positive traits are a bit higher on the Patreon level, which makes sense. If you like me, you're more likely to become a patron of me, and if you don't, you're not. Or like if you think that I have like positive traits, you know what I mean, you are more likely to be a patron. And there's a long list, and like there's so many more that like exists in the Excel spreadsheet that again I'm not gonna analyze myself. The people who said manic are about to have their heads blown clean off. Yeah, because like I thought I was boring and normal. I'm gonna go 800 miles an hour. Okay, we're nearing the end. Best piece of advice you ever received. This is just nice, you know. Drive as if everyone else on the road is trying to kill you. Don't be humble. Imagine you live in a world where things can get better. If they pay you the minimum wage, then you should do the minimum effort at work. Measure twice, cut once. Incomplete is better than nothing. Temper my anxieties with more realistic expectations of outcome. Like, that shit's just wholesome, you know what I mean? That's so nice. I answered tall. That is true, I do come up as tall. If I held a meetup event, which people used to do like in a time before COVID, would you want to hang out? A lot of people were just like, no. Like, I love this. Like, especially patrons who are like, you know, you like almost universally like positive praise. Don't do anything differently. You come up as friendly, well spoken, like relatable, blah blah blah. Do you want to meet up? No. Objectively, like, funny to me. Are significant portions of these videos to stroke me as ego? Yep. Both preferred yep over yes. So that's interesting. I think so too. I agree. If you have been a patron and stopped, have you used the exit survey option? This is more for me. This is not really interesting. Like, a lot of people here like haven't been a patron, so no. This is Patreon. We don't have to talk about that. That's a little boring. Have you ever met Mulder fans in the wild? Vast majority says no. Of course not. It's the fucking the internet. But some people, like 10%, have said yes. That's so interesting. And I have also, what? I met Mia's mom in Bangor. I assume your mother's a fan. You would assume wrong. I love my mom. She does not watch my videos. My parents do not watch my videos. It's very fun. Just my girlfriend. I mean, that's, what do you mean sadly? That's great. Has being part of the Mia Mulder community changed something in your life? Most people have said no, like, and some people are like, oh, I learned a little bit. But there have been like a fair few people who are like, oh, I met my girlfriend in your Discord server. And I'm like, what? So that's very interesting. You know, and now some people are engaged. That's wild. Speaking of the Discord server, obviously, like, it's a Patreon exclusive thing. Like patrons get access to it, and 7% of patrons use it. I don't use it. Like, I wouldn't blame anyone for not using it because I set that up because I felt like I needed to, and then I didn't have the social energy to like interact with it. Like, I didn't have energy to do it. To be active on there. Like, I have social anxiety as well. So, you know. Have you seen fan art of me? Most people say no, but like some people have. Was it erotic? What? I love that I could have one answer to a poll. There is erotic fan art of me, and it's actually quite weird. There's like a person on Reddit who is like won't shut the fuck up about like doing some sort of erotic roleplay. That like everyone mentioned in it knows that, like, because like they will post about it like 14 times a day. So occasionally like people will like stumble upon it and like send it to one of us who is like mentioned in the post because they want to do some sort of like YouTuber erotic roleplay. I don't mind. Like, I don't want to kink shame, but like it happens. Is there any genre of YouTube video you wouldn't enjoy me making? This is interesting. A lot of people here said short videos or shorts. That's interesting. TikTok-like reaction videos. A lot of people said reaction videos, like they don't want me to make reaction videos. But a lot of people also just said that, like, whatever I like to do, they're gonna be fine with that. Like, they don't care what I do. They just like what I do. But a lot of people said reaction videos. And then there are two more questions. We're almost at the end. Thank God. If you could have a dinner party with three famous people, dead or alive, who would you invite? And you know, this is interesting. You know, Genghis Khan, Nelson Mandela, Yo Mama, Magnus Hirschfeld, John Green, Hank Green, Pliny the Elder, Hildegard von Bingen, Bram Stoker. You have questions. Like, there's a lot of fun answers here. You know, I'll collate these a bit more in an interesting video somehow. You can go off, I guess. Like, that's the thing. Like, I'm not. I don't want to kink shame. You know what I mean? Like, don't show me your erotic fan art. And don't invite me to your erotic roleplays, which some people sometimes occasionally do. Like, don't do that. That's weird. But whatever you want to do, like in the privacy of your own home, like I don't give a shit. Like, if you like, I had some people who like made a 3D printed like elven druid me like several years ago, like to use me as a miniature in their D&D campaigns. And that's great. You know, they asked me for permission if they could do it, and I was like, it's your D&D game. Like, you're not gonna sell this as merch, or like harass me with it. Like, go nuts with it, of course. And it was fun. They had fun with it. They were very respectful, I will say. Don't like let's yeah. If you could offer one piece of advice, I can't scroll down further than this though. This is unfortunate. Can I? Let's do something like. Well, there's my face. That's what I had as the background for this one. If you could offer one piece of advice or a message to the entire world, what would it be? Be kind, be nice, respect each other. Like a lot of people were like, said that, be kind. Stop being an asshole, be kind. The people you disagree with have just as complicated of an internal life as you do. Stop being dicks, be nice. Take more naps, zoom out. Yeah. Tax the rich. Protect trans kids. Like, there's a lot of, like, they're just nice. People who are just nice, like, friendly people. And I think that is, like, actually, like, the nice ending, the end note for the survey, and also for, like, me learning about my community, because something I have noticed, both on Patreon and elsewhere, is that I have a community that is like quite genuinely very nice. This stream is almost twice as long as it should be because the analyzing that took way too long. So let's very quickly talk about the month ahead. I asked patrons if they wanted me to split up my current upcoming video so that I could like release content quicker, but not have it be finished, basically. Like, I'll release one half and then I'll finish the other half and then I'll release that as a part 2. And I asked people how they felt. I personally don't think that that's a good idea, because like it takes a significant amount of work to make a video make sense as an independent video while also being a part 2. And changing a video mid-production so that it fits like that is more work than just finishing the video, like finishing the video as one gigantic video. So that was my argument for not wanting to do that. But I asked patrons and they said overwhelmingly, like, don't split it, like finish it, take your time with it, and release it as like one giga video when it's actually out. But that, you know, partially that means I'm still working on that video. It's still very long. And it's growing every day too. Like and I'm getting better with like restricting myself, but like it's a big video. It's about the economy in general, so, and like how we relate to it as people. So that's my take on it. But after asking patrons, like, they said don't split it up. I didn't want to split it up, so I'm not going to split it up. So what's actually happening is I'm going to take some more time on it. You know what I do? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to let my YouTube analytics scream at me that I don't have enough views or subscribers for this month because I haven't released a video like in a while, and then release like a 2-hour like giga video about the economy and the stock market and the history of money and the way we structure our societies with goods and services and stuff like that. So, just so you know that that's what's happening. I am hoping to have the video done by mid-September, like maybe slightly after like the midway point, but I'm really hoping to have it done by then. I've been working on this video for so long, and I hope that you will enjoy it, and I hope that I will enjoy finishing it, and that I will be able to finish making it at least before October. I have a sponsor like scheduled for the end of October, and I need at least a month to make a video. So if it's taking even longer than that, I don't know what I'm gonna do. But I desperately don't want to become one of those YouTubers who take like 6-7 months to make a video. Like four is like the worst I've ever been, and it's been summer and I got back pain and like I just started new medications and it's been holiday. Like it's been a lot of things that like make this take longer. So 4 months, and like that's an exception. Like I'm hoping to like still come back and making like at least one video every 2 months, but hopefully more often than that. But anyway, that's my takes for this stream. I've been streaming this stream now for significantly longer than I thought that I would, and I do apologize, but it's gonna be fun. Analyzing this survey took a bit longer than I thought, and now I have to go to bed. I will see all of you, hopefully, when my next video comes out. I'm gonna release like a new streaming schedule somewhat soon, but I'm gonna try to like make the video done before any of that kind of stuff happens. And after that video is done, I'm gonna try to collate the answers for the survey, and maybe I'll make an extra video for this channel, like the bonus video channel or something. But we'll see how that goes. When the data has been analyzed by people who actually know how to analyze statistics. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna go now. And bye-bye.